First, there was Dueling Citizens, now Secrets from the Inside. Author Greg Meakin nails it again. Introducing Secrets from the Inside Radio Show. Raw, unscripted, uncensored, uncanceled. Secrets from the Inside starts now. With your hosts, Greg Meakin, VAL Olson, and Captain James McCormick.
Well, it's a busy day in my house. My house is the backdrop for Secrets from the Inside. We gather around the kitchen table and we talk local, we talk, global, wherever we need to go. Nothing is out of our scope. And I've been busy today just baking some bread. I find, kind of beating that dough is a great way to start the day and really set the tone. So my fingers are fired up and ready to go. And it smells like fresh bread in here. So I hope you enjoy Secrets from the Inside, episode 015. It's a big one today.
I'll tell you what, that's so nice to hear. I keep forgetting you're a Gen X mom, you're mom of 3 kids and 2 little girls and stuff. I forget how busy being a mom, being a parent is. Seriously. There's so many of my folks and so many of my friends now that are Gen X, what are Generation X, which are pretty much 40s and 50s. And I always say, you guys are running the world. Fill me in, take a minute here. So tell me a little bit about your morning, kind of getting up. I hear you were, like you just said, you're making some bread action there. That's sourdough, I'll bet, right? Sourdough is my favorite. Just tell me about your morning a little bit. We'll get warmed up here. And we do have Captain James McCormick coming on, Val. He's confirmed. He'll be parachuting in, the usual, hopefully top of the hour, but you never know with him on his schedule. He's always called out for rapid deployments and stuff. But Captain James will definitely be in the house today, Val.
Yes, looking forward to that.
Tell me what it's like being a mom in the morning. I totally forget. I have my coffee and that's it. You're chasing around kids and stuff. Tell me what that's like.
Right. Being a mom compared to being like a boomer, as you put it, you're pretty busy yourself. Brand new radio show, one of the hottest shows in America. I've listened to the show a few times because there's just so many nuggets in this show. And so I want to talk about your brand new show, Greg, radio show, in a minute. But sure, I will answer your question just on the home front, what's happening. I am one mom of many. Moms across Canada are fired up. We are a base of effective people, and we are mama bears. We know how to make it. We know how to make things happen at home to protect our families, and we know how to, get things done in the boardroom, around the office. I'm fresh back from DC, so I, had a trip to the swamp my first time, and moms have it going on. We are on the radar, ladies. Our time in history is now. And I had the pleasure of just meeting so many like-minded women. Politicians are taking notice of what we're doing. We are a go-to source. So that's what's happening on the home front. Like our caves are just lit up bright. So thanks for recognizing moms and the role of the home front. You do that so well, Greg.
I tell you what, we always go full circle, seriously, chatting about this stuff, the home front, a lot. Because I think this is an era in, say, 2023, 2024, really, since COVID. Do you remember in that good old book, Why Good for America and What I Think Now, wrote about COVID moms. Do you remember what you went through as moms? Deborah, my wife, always says, never forget 2020, everybody. Never forget 2020. And that at that time, and I believe this is more applicable for 2024, we got the little election coming up November 5th, is I think moms in the United States I called them COVID moms during COVID. Imagine that, and they were called soccer moms in the '90s with Bill Clinton and stuff. I think they're going to sway the election. Speaking of elections, I mean, you said it's wonderful hearing what just kind of, I call it a wave, a team of, and just call it moms and suburban folks and regular folks that are really banding together. And I believe feeling the existential kind of fear we all fear that our country's going to hell in a handbasket. So yes, indeed, love your moms, love all the folks out there. I always say, do your homework on the election, find out who candidates are, find out folks out there who are going to protect you guys as moms, who are going to protect you, your home front, your communities, because I do believe, and our dear friend, mutual friend, Janelle Lamb, Val, Janelle Lamb, wife of Sheriff Mark Lamb down here, she always says it starts in the home and in the community at the local level. No matter how big we hear everything is, the news from Washington, D.C., the national stuff, the talking points, blah, blah, it still comes down to the home front. So I reach out to you, to your network, Val, to say, make sure we get out to vote. Not only the primary here, March 19th, primary, hello, down in Arizona. Ballots are coming out this week. But on November 1st, everybody vote. And so honestly, home front to the voting station. I guess that might be part of the message today, Val.
Can I take a minute? Yeah, I'm going to take a second here. So Greg was ahead of his time as usual. And he was talking about COVID moms. Now, that is a section in his book you can read about, and we're really going to get into that on the show today, especially when it comes to Alberta. And we're going to go back, talk about challenges during COVID time. Buy Greg's book, Smoke and Deal, right now. You can have it in your hands faster than Amazon can deliver an election, folks. It's really easy. Greg's website, gregmeakin.com. His ebook, Why I Came to America and What I Think Now. Ebook available for $5. So get your hands on it. Your chapter, COVID Moms Will Sway 2024. You were onto something when you released this book. And for those following and listening, I know there's lots of politicians, especially in Alberta. Does this affect you? Go buy the book to learn more. And I want to touch on a book for moms. This is a playbook, a manual. It's purse size. It's handy. It's a sit down, quick read while you're waiting at the doctor's office or to pick kids up. Of 2023, one of the most powerful books I read. It's emotional, it's relatable, it's funny, and you want to have it in your hands. It's in my toolkit. So Janelle Lamb's Bravery and Blinders. She has 2 books out. Of the 2, this one is my personal favorite. Once you read it, you'll understand why. It's a book that really helps with understanding the times we're in and what are we going to do now. So get the book, find it on the sheriffswife.com website. Okay, check that out. Back to you, Greg.
Boy, isn't that cool? We're off to the races talking moms here. This is what it's all about. I was joking the other day, and we've got, I think, a minute or two till our hard start. That's so Canadian, hard start. Couple minutes here, but my son and I were chatting a few days ago. He's in the RV business in Florida, and he obviously runs into lots of customers and couples and all that stuff. And we shared with each other, guaranteed 80%, I say 80, maybe 90% of all retail transactions are made, the decisions made by the mom, the wife, the female, with couples. It's just the way it is. Guys shoppers, smarty pants guys can think that they're the as James says, the household 6, the commander of the household. But the women make most retail decisions, especially obviously daily marketing. Hello. But especially high-end items, big ticket items. So I think also if they control the car deals, Val, they control the elections too, don't they? So what a good way to start the day, start the show. It's going to be fun. This will be replatformed on my YouTube channel. including our wonderful intro, which we don't have to play today because I'll end up dubbing that in with the original, the final production that I do. But we're coming up at the top of the hour. Captain James should be parachuting any minute, but let's go ahead and do a little bit of an intro here. And as a matter of fact, Val, if James doesn't pop in too quick, it sounds funny, but just for my refresher, it sounds funny, but how about read like either first like quick chapter of that COVID moms thing? Because this is big for, I think, 2024. So back to you on that, but let's just kind of roll into the show with your intro, and then let's wait for Captain McCormick to parachute in.
Okay, it is time for a hard start. Secrets from the Inside, episode 0015. I'm Val Olson. Greg Meakin, Secrets from the Inside. And Greg plays many roles on this show. He has so much experience over his lifetime. Oftentimes he just says, I'm just a car sales guy. Okay, yeah, you did do some car sales, but you sure did. Wow, a lot more than just selling cars. Greg, just real quick, because I know there are people, especially from Alberta this morning, that are listening. Take a minute and just introduce yourself, and I'm going to let Captain James into the house.
Well, thank you. Yes, indeed. The captain's in the house, so I'm sure get him suited up for action here. It looks like he's a speaker already. I'll take maybe a short little T-mag. Tell me about Greg here before we start. And I can't wait to chat with James. He's got busting news, Val, today. I'm gonna coin the phrase. The phrase "breaking news." How boring that is now. Everything's breaking news. For us, we're going to call it busting news, for what it is, just a different word, because what it is. And James is going to bust news today. I know you're going to bust a little news. I'm going to bust a little news. So here we go. I think there's a pattern there. My name, indeed, for anyone who does not know or is listening for the first time, my name is Greg Meakin. You can find me, anything really about me on my website, which is gregmeakin.com. And that is spelled GregMeakin.com. You can find me on YouTube. We'll talk more about that. But Val, you can't believe the reaction to this America Matters YouTube posting I did this week. So we'll chat about that. But my YouTube channel is at Greg Meakin. There are almost 1,200 videos, mostly on shows and clips like this you're listening to. Probably half a dozen other shows that I've appeared on in the last couple of years. Speaking of that, I retired down in Arizona 4 years ago. And during COVID, which was just awful for so many people, I decided to write my third book. And it's called Why I Came to America and What I Think Now. And as of just a few days ago, I released that first time in an ebook, as you mentioned, Val, at gregmeakin.com. It's $5. So I figure even my friends from Toronto can afford that, Val, so $5. But it's really the only way my book's available right now is through ebook. And sadly, the world's going to that ebooks, audio books. But I'm going to be a youngster for now, go with the flow, and be working ebooks and audio books for the most part. So this book is out. I encourage folks seriously for $5 to order it. And it will get over to you into your inbox. New book coming out. I've been talking about this so much now. But a new book coming out. It's called Why I Came to America and Can We Even Fix This Mess? I'm going to stick a date on this here again, Val, but it's going to be April 15th, tax day. That will also be an ebook. So my quick bio is just I'm a dual citizen, born in New Hampshire and raised in Montreal, Canadian first half of my life, U.S. second half, spent 30 plus years in the Seattle area, mostly as a car guy, etc. So like so many people right now, we're all restarting our life, restarting our brands, restarting our household post-COVID. So that's what I'm doing right now is reading, writing, and radio. Done over 100 radio shows in this, believe it or not, this last couple of years, Val, over 100 radio shows, including this. Do you realize, get this, Val, get this. Today, I'm going off. This is show number 45 with you and me. We've set the record. So anyhow, I've blabbered, me. I'll turn it over back to you here, Val. And I see that the captain's here. So why don't you just start the introductions there with Captain James?
Good morning, Captain James. Three-time Purple Heart recipient, Captain James McCormick. I want to just give you the microphone, Captain. Take a minute, let our audience. There's many listeners, many politicians logging on this morning already. Just who you are and what's on your heart today.
Good. Can everybody hear me okay?
Loud and crystal clear.
All right. That's great. Good morning. Good morning, America. It's so good to be here. You know, every day we wake up in the greatest country in the world. Now, we could lose that. We could lose that very quickly if we don't pull ourselves together and pull ourselves back up out of this pit that we're kind of finding ourselves in, both economically and spiritually. You know, when we look at the spiritual welfare of this country, you know, we look to our leaders, and leaders should be the example. You know what I mean? It's like I could never, you know, imagine someone like my grandfather or my father or my uncles, you know, serving in politics today just because of the examples that we see every day. And some of the news that I do want to talk about involves some of that breaking information. But let me preface this by saying most of the things that occur that really get people hammered is not so much the actions, but it's the cover up. It's the lies to protect or to try to mitigate the fallout. And we have got a whole group of professional political lobbyists, consultants out there now that really have become pretty good liars, and they promote that. So I could never. Could you imagine? I want you just to imagine some of the people that raised you as a child, that brought you up. You know, maybe it was your preacher, maybe it was a teacher, maybe it was a coach. Yeah, I was very fortunate. I was surrounded by many. Had a great football coach, and they all taught you the same thing. You know, it's better to just own it and admit when you do wrong, than to just continuously trying to cover up that you did wrong. And that's what we see with politicians today. I couldn't imagine some of those mentors in my life telling me, just lie about it. Just tell them this. Let's go get this person. Let's go attack this other person to try to make it so miserable on them that they won't tell the truth on you. So I want you to think about that. There are people that are crucified politically, spiritually, emotionally, just crucified. And when I say spiritually, I don't mean the spirit of God. I mean the spirit of the devil that is out there that goes after people because you're going to tell the truth about something that you know or you saw, and it upsets folks to no end. To you know, the best thing to cure this sickness is sunshine, transparency, and sunshine. So with that being said, we've had several politicians. You know, Nikki Haley just dropped out of the race. Probably a lot later than what she should have. She probably should have dropped out when things started coming out about, you know, her relationship with her husband. You know, and I'm just going to say this, you know, I don't live in their house and I'm not judging them. But if you proclaim to support veterans in the military and you won't even respond to these, whether they be allegations or truth, of an infidelity that occurred while your spouse was serving overseas in a combat zone, maybe 2, maybe 3 times, then I don't, I don't question so much the act, but it's the cover up. It's the not just admitting you done wrong, own it, and move forward. We have that going on in West Virginia, where I live. A gubernatorial candidate, a Pittsburgh paper posted about a relationship, that alleged relationships. Let me say that an alleged relationship that happened between him and another man that ultimately cost him his marriage. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I can't judge the man for it. But what I can say is that for a paper to post that, and it to not be just some political tabloid, there's got to be some hard facts, or they'd get sued for posting slander and libel, right? And so at this point, you have to wonder, if it comes out that it's true, it's not so much the part of the relationship or the homosexuality, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with that. It goes against my faith and the way I was brought up. I don't agree with sleeping around on your spouse. It goes against everything that I have been taught by people of great character and honor. But if you've done these things, what really makes me concerned is the fact that a person will lie about it, will not own it, and just try to move forward. You never will move forward until you address this issue. And we see so much of that, so much of that. Look at President Trump, soon to be President Trump again. He's been drug into court, accused of everything: rape, sedition, anything they could make, shoplifting. My God, who knows what else is going to come out of the works? Who knows? And his entire life is played out. He goes to court, gets arrested, and sits before these folks and answers questions. He has attorneys that answer the questions for him. He goes to face his accusers. And the fact that the evidence is so underwhelming, not overwhelming, underwhelming, and the fact that the people are prosecuting now based on hatred for an individual, that's another thing that has me concerned. So we have a concern with a lack of integrity that led them to whatever it is they did. Then we have a problem with them accepting responsibility for their actions and making the changes and moving forward. And then we have a group of legal beagles out there that happen to be supporting another candidate who are using their positions. And that's a fact. You look what's playing out down in Georgia. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Hey, Captain.
Yeah.
Are you able to name names? And totally in your court there, whatever, but there's stuff going on back there, and totally up to you. And again,
all you have to do is just I mean, it's going to be all over the national media here before long about the gentleman, and he happens to be related to a very prominent U.S. senator. And it won't take much to figure that out. But for the sake of not wanting to fan the fires, I will say this, that when I see that, I'm not disappointed as much by the infidelity or the homosexuality as I am disappointed in the lies to try to cover that up. That's where I have the problem with right there. It's like, if this happened in 2000 and whenever it was, 17, 18, maybe, I don't know exactly when it happened, but we're talking years, and this has continued to go on. And you're making statements that, or your worst case, you've got a woman that's running around the state with you campaigning, and you're telling people that you're engaged to that person. Maybe you are, maybe things have changed, but to not address it, to not say this is what happened, this is what, deny it then. You know what I mean? If it didn't happen. You know, if someone came out and said that about me, I would go public and say, nope, that's not true. This is the truth. And if you do something wrong, it's hard to admit when you're wrong. It really is. But if you want to be the governor of a state, a U.S. senator, a congressman, the president, or anything else, then I don't see how we can support an individual who can't just be honest. If they'll lie about that, what else will they lie about? They get in there and it's like, well, I'm going to cut a deal on this. Or it's just like these elected officials going to Congress, and becoming multimillionaires. AOC, there's one right there. She was at a movie theater, and how dare someone come up and ask her a question about her stance on the Palestinians, the same people that she encouraged to go after conservatives. Now they're turning on her. And it's like, she's upset about it. How dare them do that to me? You go to DC, I've seen this meme about this. You go to see DC, you're a bartender from New York City. There's nothing wrong with that job. Nothing wrong with being poor. But there is something wrong if you go in to elected office and within 6 years you become worth $20 million. I think there's a problem. So anyways, money corrupts, sex corrupts. It's just like these people go into these positions, and if they're living this lie, here's the other thing, Greg, that is really, that we have to watch out for. So if a person's elected or they get a position where they have access to top secret information or confidential information, and any of those elected offices have access to that, governors, damn county commissioners, they do. They all have access to stuff. They know how much your gas bill is or your water bill is. They know what's going on in the communities. If the cops have responded to your house and all these other things. If you're given that information and you have lived this clandestine life, and the enemy knows that. It's just like I was telling people going to Washington, D.C., they know what your weakness is. Is it sex? Is it drugs? Is it alcohol? It's money or whatever, greed. It's one of those things. And you get set up sometimes because you're too weak. And they go in and they carry this, and they've lied about this and covered it up, and then they get elected. And then the person comes to them and says, vote this way, vote that way, or better yet, tell me what it is about this person, because I need to know. I want to really go after that person. So you see what I'm saying? They use that information. This is how counterintelligence agents work. They find out the dirt on you that you don't want out, and they go right to your face and they tell you, if you don't do this, you see these pictures, you see this right here, we're going to go public with it. We're not just going to just tell your wife. We're not just going to tell your kids and your family. We're going to tell everybody. And most people who have the propensity to lie and cover up and have a past of that, they'll probably sell out. So yes, that's the big breaking news. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take so long, but it's so important that we talk about integrity. So anyways, there you go.
Take your time, Captain James. We definitely have, just some bottom feeders that are attempting to kick us out of the broadcast. You are coming through loud and clear. There's issues with my mic, and Greg is being kicked in and out of the broadcast. The interference at this point looks to be coming from Canada. specifically has to do with Alberta politicians, and it's like rats trying to get out of the boat. So back to you. Keep going.
Yeah,
Just let me
go right into that.
reconnect.
Let's go right into that. So here's what I say to these folks: nobody is planning an armed insurrection. You know what I mean? Nobody's planning that or will do that. What they want to do, let's just take Alberta, for instance. And from what I understand, everybody that I've talked to that's involved with this movement, they just want to take it to the people to vote. Should we become an independent country? Should we become the 51st state of the United States of America? Should we stay where we're at? And they will vote on it. But it should be a fair vote, and it shouldn't be one that is filled with jailing people, putting people, in prison for no reason whatsoever, other than the fact that they don't agree with you. See, that's what makes democracies, republics, that's what makes all those things work. Is when if you're just in an echo chamber and you're all singing the same notes, you never improve on anything. You never take care of that person. That there's lots of people that don't say anything because of the very thing that we're talking about. They don't want to get slandered. They don't want to get attacked on social media. They don't want to have people coming to your house, talking to your kids, going to the newspaper. And quite frankly, this is a problem that faces so many people. Now, the issue in Alberta, you guys have a little more serious, interference with your, big government, who doesn't want to hear the opposite side, but they should want to hear it, because maybe if they would listen and maybe if they would apply changes, then Alberta wouldn't be looking. Alberta, Saskatchewan, how many others are looking at, how do we get out of this mess?
Hey, Captain.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Weird Val. Hello. I was kind of kicked out of the
I'm here.
You good? But anyhow, good. I want to just touch base with you. You got beautiful monologues here. I'm really, really glad to hear what's on your heart today. You got a lot to say, Captain. We chatted earlier today, and there's so much stuff busting, as we say, busting news. But I have a question for you. It's stuff that we have talked about, and indeed, don't let us forget later on. I do want to chat, as Val alluded to in the pre-show, about our wonderful America Matters radio, Mega Matters. So save that for me. Remember my pre-dementia there, Val. Write that down. My question to you, Captain, we've talked about this a million times, but we always ask ourselves, okay, what do we do? What do we do moving forward? And I'll tell you what you're alluding to so much is this garbage censor cancel doc stuff, this nonsense. Say one word that's forbidden by the thought police, language police, government, whether it's Canada or elsewhere. There's lots of censorship going on, lots. And my theory has been that you're not going to keep us quiet this time around. You're not going to shut up James McCormick. You're not going to shut up Greg Meakin or Val Olson. Guarantee you that. And even if you try and shut us up on an individual show, doesn't matter. We'll find another way around, right, James?
That's right.
We'll find another way around. We'll go in the side door if we have to, whatever. But my theory has been you're not going to shut up Joe Rogan and his 11 million people. You're not going to shut up Tucker Carlson, even if you want to. And I honestly have been debating on, when now and then I write an essay or a piece that's on my website, especially trending and published works and stuff, where, okay, enough. I'm going to write something here. And I'm going to tell you what, I'll say this. I'm going to say one little bad swear word. Okay. Parental warning here.
Sure.
I've been debating, seriously, because we've been watching this gaslighting stuff really since the Clinton years. And James Carville and those guys, but we're hearing it now where they're simply, James, telling us what we can hear and what we can't hear. And I've been thinking about writing a piece seriously. And you know how many Democrat friends I have? And I also have liberal friends up in Canada, Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal. I think I even have one NDP friend, believe it or not, James, one NDP in VAL. Anyhow, honestly, I'm just going to run this by you. Should I write this or not? I'm going to write a piece that says to my Democrat friends, we're sick and tired of your shit. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay? Demonizing 80 million people who are going to be voting for Trump, demonizing us. Thought police, language police, I saw my language outlawed in Quebec in the 1970s. No English allowed on public signs. It happens. Do you agree? And do you feel a part of this wave towards common sense, 1950s handshake world, towards November election? Talk to me here, Captain. Do you think there's a wave back? Do you think that we can, quote, fix this mess? Back to you, sir.
Yes, I do. I think you can. But it's going to take some humbling on both sides. We're going to have to all, be able to go back to, Americans that, for whatever reason, they've just turned on each other. And it's been that way for, almost 10 years now. It's just been at least almost 8 years. And probably longer if you go back. I think that the bitter pill, let me just say this. The bitter pill came with the Obama administration, where there were a lot of things that were ushered in. I think Barack Obama was a better president than Joe Biden. That I do believe. But that's not saying much. Okay. And so without trying to just offend people, let me give you the reasons for this. Number one, there's a level of dishonesty. Him coming into office, some of the things, some of the executive orders that he did, some of the appointments that he made, like Joe Biden, were based not wholly and solely on qualifications, but on whatever reason, social status or, whatever, race, religion, gender, whatever. And I can't stand that. I think that, so when all of that started kicking off, Greg, we're kicking the crap out of Al Qaeda, the terrorist organizations around the country. I mean, we're kicking ass in Iraq. And, to be honest with you, if you go look at the way that ended, with the fact they have an established government, we still have troops on the ground in Iraq. We won that war, and we won it, in the words of Donald Trump, bigly. Now, some people may not agree with that, but we got rid of Saddam Hussein. We killed countless numbers of terrorists, which killing is bad. Okay, it is really bad. And it's a shame that it has to come to that. But the facts are, these folks that were taken out, let's use a better term, they had no desire for peace and hope. So we had all of this going on. There was a pride in America. People started turning against George Bush and, weapons of mass destruction. And I've even got some Republicans that run their mouth about that. And it's like, and what I say to them is that at this point, who really cares? The fact is that it took, months and months of my life and many of my friends. Ultimately, what I look for is the successes. So we successfully left Iraq in better shape, governmental wise anyways, where it was more of an equality, and all those liberals should be happy with that. The fact that, the Sunnis and the Shias and the Kurds, they all have people that sit on the, on the parliament that governs Iraq. And it's kind of a hybrid between a U.S. Congress and a British parliament. I mean, if you look and see how this thing's broke down. But if works. It was tested through the invasion of ISIS, and ISIS was kicking the crap out of the Iraqis, and then of course we had to go back in and help them out a little bit. But look, it still remains now. So why do I say this? We had some successes. We had 9/11, which was a terrible thing. Some successes, a love of patriotism. People were flocking into the military, and then Barack Obama comes in. And then most people are like, okay, because look, whether you like it or not, a lot of conservatives had to vote for him in order for him to get elected. A lot of white Americans had to vote for him. So it wasn't just, the African-American vote that got him in. And it wasn't just the liberal vote that got him in. There were people that saw hope and saw a time for our country. It's time for us to have our first, African-American president. And I know people question because his mother was white or whatever. But the point I'm making is this. He had a great opportunity to come in and to do some wonderful things. And instead, he exacerbated and pulled the Band-Aid off of an already healing, festering wound of racism. That we didn't have that issue of racism when I was in Iraq, and we had soldiers of all races, all religions. We didn't even look at that. Okay, now it is back under the microscope. So are you not black enough? Are you not white enough? Are you not Hispanic enough? Are you not this enough? Are you not liberal enough? That's the big one now. I'm more liberal than you. You see this now. You see these people say this, or I'm more conservative than you. And what does that mean? Yeah.
Captain, real quick, I don't want to interrupt your thought there, but I believe, in my opinion, I agree with you. I think Barack Obama's the most divisive president in our lifetime.
Absolutely.
I say divisive, meaning, I kid you not here. I'm going edgy today, but I'll tell you what, the old days in the car business, when Obama came into power, and you're right here, Captain, everyone was pulling for him. A lot of people were pulling for him.
Sure.
I got a lot of crossover votes and stuff, and I didn't vote for him, but fine, winner take all. Unlike Democrats, we say winner take all. Here you go. But I kid you not, in the old car business, I had a car manager come up to me, James, seriously, and this was after the Charleston. Remember that Charleston? And he tubed our cops up front, if you remember. Really, really divisive stuff. Just basically black versus white. Sorry, that was the conversation. That's elephant in the room. But I had a car manager come up to me. He says, Greg, I'm the most inclusive, non-racist guy in the world. And I say, I know you are, buddy. And he says, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Comment on that. And again, I didn't mean to digress there, but that was a real feeling across the board here. What's going on?
I'm not trying, and I'm not trying to give a speech on this or a class on this, but maybe we do need a class. So all of this divisiveness, literally, I tell people I didn't even realize there were black people or anything. We were just soldiers. We watched each other's backs. We love each other. We still do as brothers. And when all of this started going down, let me just tell you that there was many calls. The one group, our group we called the regulators when we were in Iraq, the 518th, combat gun truck unit in Iraq was just tough. And it was it was equally divided. I'm just going to just tell you that right now. And we never had a racism issue, not one. And then when all of this started happening, we got our own little Facebook page and we started talking about politics, and nobody got mad at each other. So, well, I can't vote for Obama. That's fine. Some of our guys did, some of our guys didn't. And even when the Trump thing and the Biden thing and all that, we had people on both sides of that. But ultimately, we respected each other's point of view. We may have not agreed with it, but we respected them enough to let them have their say. And we agreed from the get-go to this day, I could call 177 soldiers from the 518th Combat Gun Truck Company. And I'm telling you that I could get at least 95% of them to show up within 48 hours to go get busy, to go do whatever we needed to do to defend this nation. Okay. Other groups can't do that. I see veterans groups broke up, lost membership. It's not just because of young people. It's because politics started getting involved. You go into inner DC, Washington, DC, you see all this argument. And you know, I'm involved in that. Not the argument as much as I'm involved with it. Look, here's just the straight up facts. I'm here to talk to you about this. You know, I don't give a shit if you win election or not. I really don't. What I care about is if you're going to own up to your obligation to take care of the U.S. citizens and keep your promise. And ultimately for me, it's like, what are you doing for the veterans? And so I think people need to be able to get comfortable. I tell my kids this all the time, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that means have the difficult conversations in an environment that allows you to both express your views. Don't let somebody hog the whole damn conversation. You know, we joke around about our Friday night radio show. You know what I mean? It's sometimes, you know, you got to mute people. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying that because it's like, and here I am, longest talker on the show so far. But
hey, Captain.
Yep.
It's not switching gears here. I want to turn the mic to Miss Val for 2 seconds. You touched on Captain. You touched. I want to take a minute here in the show. You touched on the 518th. Okay. Mm-hmm. The Zebra Boys, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
this is going to be 3 straight shows. I want to take a second here with Val because Val is Miss Val, our military radio gal. Okay, and I know as you remember, she and I co-hosted that record-setting Continue Mission that Friday night. I want Val to actually just weigh in here with James. You've researched a lot, Val. You follow these Purple Heart guys, 518th. You know, these, I swear there's 500,000 of you, plus. James, when you bring out the oil and gas guys, the military guys, Val, take a quick second and reach out to James here a little bit, maybe about what the 518th of this whole world means to you, whether it's to you as a mom or a journalist. Take a couple of minutes here, and you have a nicer voice than either James and me combined. So go ahead, just reach out to him on the 518th and that whole crew.
I'm going to share the video because sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words, and you know, it hits close to home where we need that spirit that each of you who served and had no fear and were all in. You know, what was going through your minds? That's what I was thinking about. Who are these men? Who are these people? You know, how are they able to, you know, just look fear straight in the eyes and love their country so much that they're willing to lay it all down? And that spirit, you know, is needed. And I mean, I can focus on Alberta for a minute. We've got a lot of politicians right now that are logged in, and they're a part of this broadcast because they're really worried naming names is going to happen today. You know, and I have a message for them. These are the guys. You are the heroes. You are the ones who geopolitically, you know what's going on. You know, just a message to those thugs that are, you know, threatening the home front. You know, location, I don't think matters to you guys. Like, are you guys scared to go to Alberta and face these war criminals? Because we're talking about crimes against humanity. James, I don't expect you would know this, but we're dealing with a real just an awful story back to COVID times, because like the secrets are starting to spill. You know, toxic Tylenol was, you know, an overseas deal that happened for Albertans, and in the tune of $80 million, just all that
Yeah, I think we lost you there, Val. Are you there? You went to mute there for a second. You still with me? There we go. Keeps going to mute. Keeps knocking you over to mute.
Boy. Well, Val's working her mic back in and stuff. But I said in my book, and you'll remember this, James, that Vietnam scared the hell out of Canada. Are you back there, Val?
I'm here. I'm here. So it's definitely interference from my device. When we were talking about naming names in Alberta, this has to do with the toxic Tylenol story. And that's where the interference is coming from. This is an $80 million deal that's gone sideways. Just a quick update, pencil pusher Dick from the back room saying, no go, we're not taking dirty money. So that's all I'm going to report on it right now. You guys carry on. We're still coming through loud and clear.
Geez, Captain, that's busting news again. This is a big story. Val, thank you. Toxic Tylenol, hello. We might see that in the mainstream media if they pick that up sometime. That's a big deal. If you want, Val, if you want to take another minute about that, I mean, totally up to you. I do want to get back to the captain, and we definitely want to talk MAGA Matters before the end of the show. Blah, blah. But if you want to take another minute on that, that really perked my interest when I first heard of it. Because when you start talking Tylenol and the word toxic in the same sentence, again, real layman here, kind of short and sweet. But if there's anything else you want to touch on there, and we'll turn it back to the captain after that. By the way, Captain, remember, Vietnam scared the hell out of us in Canada, and we didn't think, honestly, I'm going to tell you, this is a true statement. It's in my book. Mm-hmm. We didn't think we could be that brave as you American guys, dude. We had the draft dodgers, we had the scaredy cats, man. And I've said this before. I don't think I could have done what you guys do. I don't overrate myself. So I'll stand up. I salute you. I salute, obviously, the Rich Kilblains and Father Mike and the Eddie Floyds of the world. You got the list. Sama and Sawyer, all the guys. So thank you. Standing up salutes, Greg and Val, to you guys. Back to you if you want to take a minute. Val, you really perked my interest as kind of a publisher type of dude on that.
Yeah, we're talking toxic Tylenol this morning. Greg, I'm going to move over to James. I will talk later in the show for those that are tuning in. Just want to say a big shout out to our military friends in Canada that are just joining the show live this morning. And just like that, our interference is no longer a problem. We are smooth sailing. You are all coming through crystal clear. Over to you, Captain James.
Well, look, it's, we had the toxic Tylenol thing is really concerning. Because that's going to affect North America. I mean, look, we went through that. If you remember, many years ago, there was a psycho that, worked in a Tylenol manufacturing company and poisoned a bunch of people, killed some people with this crap. So anytime that you can get that kind of information out, I think it's very important. I think that it's critical. As far as being able to stand up against tyranny. I've been asked this many times, what were you thinking? Well, I really wasn't thinking. What I did think about was I got to the point where I was tired of just being afraid. Tired of being afraid, tired of worrying about what was going to happen next. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to wait for what happens next. I'm going to make whatever happens next happen. And you just step up and you step into that arena and you realize it's not the best place to be. People are trying to kill you, when I'm talking about warfare. And it is, you never totally lose the fear, but you just get tired of living with fear. And it's just like the person that gets punched and beat up by the bully all the time. And eventually they either they become a slave, a total slave to a bully. You've got two choices. You can be a
James,
total slave. Yes.
when you go right to the heart of it here, when you were shot 3 times in Iraq,
Yeah.
it's the first time I really felt from you that you believed you were dead. That
Yes.
like, can you just seriously, let's just digress, talk about that for even a minute or two, but because
Sure.
that's just back to you on that.
Yeah. Let me hit that real quick. When you get tired of being afraid, you get tired of getting beat down. In this incident, I had been shot in the hand and didn't even know it. I'm just going to be honest with you. It wasn't until I got hit in the chest with the bullet that, was absorbed by my sappy plate, big ceramic plate, bullet lodged in that thing right over my heart and knocked me down, that I realized I was in a bad situation. And I really, I would hate to have seen what my blood pressure was like at that time. I really would. I would say that I was borderline dead. And I felt like I was dying. And when I hit the bottom of that vehicle, I don't remember it. I just remember 1 minute I'm up behind the 50 cal, the next minute I'm in the floor, and you're wondering, hey, what's happened to you? You just don't know what has occurred. So these are the kind of things that you face. Hold on 1 second, real quick, guys. Can you take it, Greg?
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm going to move
certainly.
into the toxic
Oh.
Tylenol while we've got a minute. James is just
Okay, yeah,
jumping
go
off.
ahead.
Perfect. Go, Val.
Okay, so those of you that are just joining, I want to just say a big shout out to our vets. And don't forget, Friday night, it's Continue Mission with Captain James McCormick. I will have a link. You can join over, I don't even know how many, 30, 40 plus thousand vets that try and listen to this show, which is a positive life-saving show, Continue Mission, on Friday nights. Captain James leads that show. It's hard to get in Canada due to censorship, but that's not going to stop us.
Yeah, that's and that's a shame. I just wanted to grab my thoughts before I go into this, because this is a spiritual question and commentary about being in the floor of that Humvee and setting up, and I was covered with blood, and I was just I've noticed there was this white powder all over my chest, and I didn't realize, but that was part of the ceramic powder from that vest. I was looking for my bandage, and it was gone. I didn't realize till later that it actually got shot off. So I had a strap that was hit by a bullet, and it literally hit that big bandage that we carried up on our shoulder and ripped it off. But I was sitting there and just kind of listening to this hum of the gunfire and people screaming and yelling. And I thought, this is what dying's like. And I was really okay with it. I'm just going to be very honest with you folks. You come to a point to where I had utter, total peace. And I thought, I'm going to get out of here. And it was okay. But then I heard this very audible voice in my head that said, nope, get up, get up, get up. And it was an internal voice inside of my head. It wasn't anything else. And my driver did finally come back and open up the hatch. And he looked at me and he says, you've been shot. He said, he says, I'll get up there and get behind the 50. And I just remember saying, nope. I said, I'm going to get up here and I'm going to kill every one of these son of a bitches. And that's exactly what I said. So, you go from having that spiritual moment to where you're cursing and you go through so many emotions. Okay. So why do I tell you that? I tell you that because it's like the bully theory. You get tired of getting punched in the face. Now you're either going to punch back or you're going to become a slave. And if you're okay with being a slave, if you're okay with somebody walking up, and I mean, even in later in life, I've seen kids that were bullied their entire childhood. They go on to be married and have a family and run into this same damn bully as a man who humiliates them in front of their wife and their kids. At what point do you get mad enough, or do you get tired enough that you finally take action? Look, law, legal lawfare is what they call it now, has made it impossible just to punch somebody in the face anymore like you used to be able to, because they'll sue you. They can pick on you. They can do everything in the world to you. And then when you stand up and fight back, but even then, you have to get tired enough of living like a slave in the mud and the muck and crawling on your gut that you have to get up and stand up for yourself. And if, my God, if you can't stand up for yourself, at least stand up for your kids and your wife and your husband and your family. So you get tired of living like a worm, then you'll start living like a lion. Until then, enjoy being a worm. And I tell people that all the time. And the kids, when you tell them that, it's like, well, I'll get kicked out of school. Well, that's okay. There's things worse than getting kicked out of school. There's a lot of things that are worse than getting kicked out of school. And some of those things are being humiliated and then it being videotaped and published all over social media, so thousands of people for an eternity will see that shit, because X, Facebook, they'll take down your video of you talking about Jesus Christ, but they won't take down a video of a kid having their face put into a toilet someplace, or somebody getting the crap kicked out of them and having it videotaped. They share that. They keep that on there. So you got to get to the point to where you get tired of it and you don't want to live that way. So
I think you're hitting on it, James, because we're sick of this stuff. And it's not going to work this time around. I'm going to call 2024 the fool me twice year. Do you mind if I bust a little quick news here for you and for Val here?
Go for it.
A quick, very interesting. We heard, of course, that Nikki Haley, of course, threw in the towel. But down here, and Val knows this news, it broke this morning, I think yesterday afternoon, Kirsten Sinema, Sinema, Kirsten Sinema, who was she was a hardcore Democrat, but went independent. So she was running as an independent down here in the race. Captain, is coming up. It's the 19th is our primary in Arizona. And that's Mark Lamb, of course, versus Carrie Lake. But Kirsten Sinema was going to be running for the independent ticket to run for president, run for the Senate. And she dropped out. She dropped out either late yesterday or early this morning. What's interesting about that, and I think this can be an indication of the electorate in November. Sinema had mainly Democrat and centrist Democrats, no Republicans, but centrist Democrats and independents. And she had a chunk. I don't know what the number is, but I don't know, tens of thousands, or she had a bunch. And all of those voters, now that Sinema's out, have broken in favor of Sheriff Mark Lamb on the ticket. And I mean broken like 67% of them. If that is an indication, and I'm just pleased for Mark on that, I've always said, let the best person win. Best candidate win. Here you go. We'll support either Carrie Lake or Mark Lamb in the U.S. Senate. But if this is an indication, as was the indication yesterday, on Super Tuesday, James, Washington, D.C., Nikki Haley, she squeaked out Vermont, Bernie Sanders, Vermont, and took Washington, D.C. handily. Otherwise, Donald Trump won everything. It was a sweep. If that's an indication, it indicates to me that in November for the presidential ticket, whoever's on the Democrat side, I can't see it anything other than Biden, but whatever. I just can't picture anything else, but whatever. But that tells me that we got independents busting towards Trump. Okay, James and Nikki Haley, folks, they're going to vote for Trump. They're not going to vote for Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. So if it's an indication in November, I really hope, and I think I just want your quick comment here after I blabber here. But I've been predicting here that this is a wave. This is a wave. And I believe that Trump's going to have the White House again. I think he's going to handily. I can't believe I'm even saying the term popular vote, right, James? That's Reagan numbers. But
right.
And my only thing to my dear Democrat friends, what are you going to blame it on this time? What are you going to blame it now? When you going to point the fingers, how are you going to start suing Trump when he wins again? You're going to burn down our cities again? Seriously. Your comment, seriously, if you believe the wave is there, because I'll tell you what, Arizona's kind of leaning that way either way. I think there's a wave towards red here.
Sure.
If there's anything I can do about it, I'm going to, and I'm doing, because we need to get all 50 states red. And Captain, back to you.
If people will just tell the truth and be willing to hear the truth, then you're not going to have an issue with the best person winning. The problem is that you've got a very I wish the media, whatever happened to the good reporters that didn't mind sticking the microphone in the face of whoever was doing right or doing wrong. I mean, I miss those kind of reporters. Now you may have not have always liked them, what they were talking about, but they seem to just give you the news. And people nowadays, they're looking at this whole thing. There is a big independence movement. I can tell you that, an independent movement where people are, they are starting to look at candidates. But ultimately, that independent movement has just really been more beneficial because there's not enough of them, but it's been more beneficial to the more nefarious candidate who's not afraid to go out and spend the money and do whatever, and we've seen that with the whole AFP, Americans for Prosperity debacle, who's been supporting and hammering away on Donald Trump and supporting Nikki Haley this whole time, and supporting, quite frankly, some candidates in our state that have some serious issues, very serious issues. So I don't know. It's for me, it's more of it's a communications issue, and this is why we have to have these kind of conversations. This is why you have to be. Communications does not work unless you have a sender and a receiver. That's it. If it's always one person receiving and the other person sending, casing in point, the alt left, like you said, burning down the cities, they get all the press on that, man. And then they're never held accountable for it. They're actually propped up as being folk heroes, kind of like, what the communists did, to Tsar Nicholas. And I'm not saying Tsar Nicholas was a good guy, but taking his whole family out in the woods and shooting them and killing them, that was not the right thing either. And history.
Captain?
Yes.
Quick question right between the eyes. Chapter in the book, Why I Came to America, and what I think now was Donald Trump was the peacenik president of our generation. No new wars. No, thank Jesus, no American casualties, you young guys, for the last 18 months of the Afghanistan war. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, Abraham Accords. Okay, quick comment, whatever's on your heart there, Captain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, I think most people want to live in peace. They do. But what are they willing to do to live in peace? Sometimes you got to go to war to get to peace. You can't live in peace with violent dictatorship, nonsensical, all my way or the highway type people. You just can't. You get to a point in your life when you get tired of being nice to assholes. Okay. And I posted that on my social media, but I said jerks. And I probably should have said that on here, but let me just say jerks. So you get tired of being nice to people that are just jerks. And they're not doing things for the righteous reasons. Again, I go back to the lessons that we learned as kids growing up. You talked about the 50s handshakes and these other things. Well, we were taught that way. You know what I mean? We were taught to live that way and to be respectful of each other, even if you don't agree with that person. You know what I mean? Until they start to take your freedom, then I think that there's a way to peacefully resolve this. But when you start to take my freedom, then, you know, and, you know, a lot better men have said this to me. There's freedom is found in two places, the ballot box or the cartridge box. And I prefer to do it in the ballot box myself, because I've lived down in that cartridge box, and it's a bad place to be. It really is. I mean, I don't think people really understand what a civil war would do, not only to this country, but to the whole North America. You know, it would have a profound effect. We're not talking about single shot 58 caliber Enfield muskets and Springfield muskets now. We're talking about massive weapons that hurt and kill a lot of people. So I'm 100% opposed, you know, to warfare. And I think Donald Trump was that way too. He didn't want to be the president that, you know, that was welcoming home the dead all the time. And
Well, James, Trump, he was very clear. He disagreed with George W. with W on the,
sure,
especially the
yeah,
Iraq. And I'll be clear too. I'm still going to stand my position that I disagreed with Bush W. I love Bush. I voted for him
sure.
twice. I just disagreed. I believe at the time, I think it was me, Trump, and Tucker Carlson. But I said no. Maybe your comment here, because you were there, dude. You were
Yeah.
freaking
Wow. I
there.
mean,
But my comment is, I felt that you could put basically an iron net around the borders of Iraq with the technology and the flyboys we have and stuff, and that you could have contained Hussein without no matter what. It's not Quagmire. You guys were there, but just your thoughts on that, because I'll forever kind of disagree with the Iraq war invasion.
yeah. Well, the one thing I will say, that, like I said, I just to reiterate, we killed a lot of bad guys, and we killed them in the streets of Iraq instead of the streets of America. So we prevented multiple 9/11s. We killed a lot of bad guys. I mean, a lot of bad guys. Even in my time period. And again, killing is bad. Let me just say that it's not good. It's not something that but we didn't murder anybody. So that was a big difference. The bad guys, they murdered people, and they would go in and literally would sexually assault, slaughter kids, women. You know, I should write a damn book about just the ugly that people can do to each other. It would be you know, I just don't think I don't think my heart could take sitting down and reliving every damn one of those events. But I will say that there was a lot of good that came from that, in the fact that we were able to eliminate really bad guys. We were able to leave Iraq in a much better position than what we left Afghanistan. You know, Afghanistan still has effects on people. We just had a kid that killed himself, ultimately because of this Afghanistan withdrawal and the inability to be able to come to grips with that, to feel somewhat responsible. You know, a young 25-year-old kid feels somewhat responsible for that. I blame the left for that as well. I blame the left for that, because they have went from, I used to see the protest when I came back from Iraq, we don't hate the warrior, we hate the war. And they were always respectful, most of the time respectful to us. We didn't get spit on and things like that. Now, we were told that we were, doing wrong, But now that's different. Now that's veterans are really shit upon by a lot of people on the left. I'm just going to just tell you that right now. I've seen it personally, experienced it. I experience it in my job. I experience it watching other people and listening and watching social media. I can take you on Facebook, anywhere you want to go. And I can show you, where people are condemning the veterans, not just condemning, the invasion of Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever, but they are condemning the people that actively participated in it. If you ever heard me say this, Greg, I say this, I pick a fight with these guys. When I say this, I was in the Iraq War, of which I was a proud volunteer, active participant. And that opens it up for every liberal douchebag that wants to come out and poke at me. And maybe they'll redirect their hatred towards me long enough to leave that 25, 23-year-old, 26-year-old kid alone so that they can get on with their life. Because when I came home from the first Gulf War, I was 20-some years old. And it was the Vietnam veterans that were always there, stood up in front of, and stood up for us, made damn sure that we got a hero's welcome that they didn't get. And that's a generation that we still owe a great debt of gratitude towards. And we cannot thank them enough. And you talked about, the war in Vietnam, whether people thought it was right or wrong or whatever. There was an effort to stop the spread of communism. And while people will say, well, it was a big loss. No, 1973, we forced the North Vietnamese to the peace table. And we established a peaceful transition. And there was a South Vietnamese government and there was a North Vietnamese government. And what happened between 1973, after our combat troops left, and 1975 was 100% on the government of South Vietnam, not on, the U.S. troops that were there.
Was Richard Nixon the most underrated president
I think
of our time in terms of that stuff? Or what's your comment there, James?
Possibly, possibly. Everybody ties up the Watergate stuff with him, but there, look, there's a level of, hatred or bitterness or whatever, but no, I think he was.
He was just kind of digressing a little bit. We're talking veterans. We're talking those Nixon days. That's a whole conversation because of how so little people know about the era and how honestly effective he was as a president. I won't digress there. But on the veterans thing, I want to tell you, I want to reach out to you. And I mentioned him earlier, James, Eddie Floyd. Want to reach out to him at speaking to veterans and stuff. And I just want to thank him deeply, deeply for his invitation for you and I to start a new show there. MAGA Matters. Hello, MAGA Matters on the America Matters Media Network. And that's Eddie Floyd. What's cool here, Val, inside scoop here. We, the station we went on again, it's MAGA Matters. I know you can review it and plug it a little bit. But Eddie Floyd, God love him, Medal of Honor, has a network based out of Reno, Nevada. And it's a going concern, goes out to 3 million plus counting total network. 43 stations, Val, you'll love this, the media gal, but yeah, you are. 43 stations. And guess what? James and my show, MAGA Matters, jumped to right first day, no marketing, no anything, no formal intro to number 6. Number 6 on their list. So I look forward to. I just want to recognize because it really is about the vets. That's tell you what. You confirm that, James, with America Matters Media. There's so many of you vet guys, you heroes. I've got one vet guy, James, here in my condo in Arizona, and I think he's a Vietnamer. But he's in bad shape, man. He's in bad shape. Neglected. Doesn't look like he has any family. Sits up in his balcony, smokes cigarettes. I'm so sad for him. There's so many of those guys out there like that, and they're totally forgotten. So between the Eddie Floyds and everybody else, you keep bringing this to the table. You keep teaching our young generation about you military guys, okay, guys, and you vets and you guys like my grandparents and my grandfather who in the trenches of Vietnam, trenches of World War I in Belgium, ended up coming back and dying of infective mustard gas. Okay, to those guys, I'm not that guy. My grandfather died, and he's like barely 30 years old. So reaching out to you guys to get a little emotional as usual, but thank you, James, for that incredible show. It's now posted as my post-production on my YouTube channel. Just getting raves. I mean, Sheriff Lamb loves it. The intro, the music, the you and me, and so there you go. I didn't think I took a little left turn there. But thank you. And honestly, back to Val a little bit. You've just been awesome sitting at your kitchen table here, listening to these old guys. Val, Talk America Matters a little bit. You dissect that show. We had it last Wednesday, and we've already been requested to do more episodes. Can you imagine that, Val? So if you could do a quick little monologue on America Matters and stuff, because you followed it closer than anyone else, and we'll turn it back to James. I just want to hear feedback on that show. It was so important to me. It was so thrilling and moving, the feedback I got from that. And as James confirmed, Donald Trump's staff listened to that show. I thank them. To you on that one, Val. Sorry to digress.
It feels like that. It's that kind of show. So if you want the inside track, you want to know what's going.
Are you still mute here? I'll turn it to you, James. Comment and see if Val brings her.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry, I'm coming off of two devices at one time. I apologize. So America Matters, it is fast becoming the hottest show in America because it's a solutions-based show. You start with the problem and you end on solutions. It's live and interactive. So I really appreciated that. This is the next wave of media, being able to go source level and talk to the hosts and strategize together. Again, it's coming around that table. And that it's like this, folks. If you can't fix a problem in your own home around the table, how do you think you can go to any other table, let alone at the Oval Office, and figure things out if you don't, how do they say it? If you don't have your shit together, you better get it together before you go from your house to the White House. So that's the style and heartbeat of the show, in my honest opinion. I love it. Mega Matters. That's what it's called, Mega Matters. And I think we're going to hear more of it. Like right now, it was just rolled out, and as Greg shared, it's going right to the top. But this needs to be a regular show. And this needs to be a show that all those mama bears across America, across Canada that are listening, and you know what's going on. Like you don't listen to mainstream. You do your own research and you do your own fact finding and you strategize with locals in the community. You know what's going on. The wool is not being pulled over your eyes. This is your kind of show. This is what I do. I kind of, do a scope of what's happening in my local community. I look at things geopolitical level, and then I attend and take time and I sit down and I listen to the show and I throw my ideas out there. And I'm just one of many. This show, Mega Matters, is built for you, and you heard it here. Donald Trump's staff listens to the show. So if you stop and think about that, that's going from your house to his house. Isn't that great? That's how technology works today. It's really great. I'm so excited for you guys, Captain James and Greg, on your new show launch. I love it. So over to you, Captain James.
Okay, folks. Yeah, I had to step away for a few minutes, but so we started the show MAGA Matters, which is MAGA, Make America Great Again, and why that matters, because everyone should want to make America great again. And some people will argue and say, well, America is already great. I would agree with that in comparison to most third world countries. But, you know, when I went in the Army, we had this commercial that was out and said, be all that you could be. You know, join the Army, be all that you could be. And are we really being all that we can be? And so MAGA Matters is really about inspiring all Americans on either side of the political fence so that we don't demonize Make America Great Again. Why in the world would we have a sitting president who would demonize the acronym MAGA, Make America Great Again, and try to make it sound like it's some kind of a bad thing? It's not a bad thing. It's a really good thing. And so that's what we're trying to do, is trying to have those conversations. And look, if you don't agree with me, this is the one show you can call on to, and we will give you a platform to disagree. Now, we're not going to give you a platform to sit on there and just raise hell and not let anybody have a word in edgewise. You know, we will not do that. But we will give you an opportunity to speak your mind. And that's what we do. So hand it back to you, Greg.
Well, I'll tell you what, here's what I'm going to coo over. And it's so fun. I'm turning it back to you again, Val, here a little bit because I'm cooing over it because this was really my truly first production as far as beginning to end. Goodness gracious, I can't even dream what I've seen pop up on my icon here. I love live radio. Yeah, I was going to say that it's an incredible American Matters show, MAGA Matters. What James is saying, that we'll have folks on live, whatever it is, whether it's calling, we have a great chat room, whether it's on live, whether it is literally calling, right, James? I think it's going to kind of change the landscape a little bit, that you can't keep us quiet and stuff. You just can't keep us quiet. And just back to Val on this. I love it. Just bringing. You've just been sitting so politely at your kitchen table, Val. Do you know we go back 2 years now? Since you called me on my cell phone about Alberta 51. Right? Do you remember that? Said, hey, I want to find the movers and shakers for Alberta, and I think I was the only guy you called, right?
You were one of the first, and yeah, that's what I do. I go to the top. I go straight to the top, and not just me. You know, everybody has the ability to do that.
But on my YouTube channel, True Post Production, where I did a formal intro with my dear friend Chris Branham, the best voiceover guy in the world, and we have specifically music on there that I think was born for my show, our show with James. On American Matters Media. But talk just quick, because you listen to the post-production on my YouTube channel at Greg Meakin of MAGA, episode 001 in that case. Just the intro, what you kind of, because you listen through, you really dissected it as the investigative journalist you are. And just your thoughts there on the intro, the music, and kind of, and you know that we started on a hot mic. Of talking about the border stats down here about the Chinese nationals. Take a quick minute or two monologue here, Val. I'm really enjoying this show. Thank you. And Captain, always thank you. If you have to go out and sweep the floors out there in the museum or something, to go catch some bad guys, you go ahead, James. But back to you on that, Val. Please coo over the post-production on the YouTube channel. Isn't this great?
Okay, Greg. Thanks for the opportunity. So the theme song was Heads Up by Tiger Gang. It's a really, it's got a really good feel to it. It wasn't my first pick for an intro song, but it was yours, and it really, sets the tone. Heads Up by Tiger Gang. Now over to the show itself and just the amazing amount of information that came out. I was just shocked. I mean, I was floored, because I'm here pretty much, in the hot zone of where illegal immigration is happening. So we learned on MAGA Matters episode 001 with Captain James and Greg that 12 million illegals are under Joe Biden's presidency have made it here.
There you go, Captain. I'm back in the room here. Any comments on that? Did we
Hello,
lose you
can you
again,
hear me?
Val and/or
No,
Captain? Just
no,
I'm so used to
here.
just being censored here or sound
Greg,
issues.
can you hear me?
Are you back,
Greg,
Val
yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me?
or Captain McCormick?
Hello.
Hello. Are we
There you
locked out?
are. Oh
Okay.
no, I can hear you. You rang your own. It's like you rang your own doorbell to get back in.
Okay. So what part did you hear? Did you hear me talking about the music?
Yeah, and
From
I heard you. I heard you audio through that, but I did get kicked out for a quick minute. So
okay. Okay, so
but
just
we're good. We're good. But there you go.
oh, okay, over to the illegal immigration, the hot zone here in Arizona. We learned that 12 million illegals during Joe Biden's presidency are here in the United States of America. So, there's information like that. Also found it interesting that we have surpassed last year's amount of illegal Chinese that are, coming to this country illegally. We're only in March and we've surpassed what the total was last year, which is in the tune of 26 to 30,000. So that is staggering, because if you do a profile, I just shout out to all of our FBI profiler friends and those working in security and who are experts on this. I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I'm not the expert here. So you guys are the ones who know what their deal is. You know what their intentions are. But you really need to not bypass those of us at home, but really take the time. And I think it's time to tell the truth in all levels of agency and paint the picture for us. Let us know who these lawbreakers, these illegals are, and what is their intention. Show us pictures of their faces. Let us help you clean it up. So that's what I took from the show.
You're so right on the money here, and the numbers came directly from Sheriff Mark Lamb. And it was 37,000 Chinese nationals, males, right, fighting age, quote, in 2023. The number up to this month, 20,000, going to be twice what it was last year. And in the first year, quote, still under Trump security, it was like 450. Okay, so there's a problem. And so thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to kick it right back to you, James. Anything on MAGA Matters or whatever? Probably be wrapping up the show here in the next maybe 5-10 minutes, whatever. Love the blabber, love the chat, love the kitchen table, love Miss Val, our military radio gal. And boy, and I love Captain James McCormick and his crew, his 500,000+ guys. Go ahead on that, Captain. Boy, I'll bet he's out parachuting somewhere, Val.
He could be on a rapid deployment.
Back to you on that, Val. I'm hearing you well. So until whenever he comes back in, seriously, he multitasks. Seriously. God, this was a tough week. Last week was a tough week. James only alluded to it, but he lost a dear friend of the family, best friend of his son, who was an Afghanistan kid, PTSD, killed himself. A baby at home, married baby at home. There's 22, and I think Greg's number on this is 30 kids a day, Val. Military kids, PTSD, that killed themselves, suicide. Not to kick it back in a morose way, but we're all dealing with stuff, and we're all losing friends and family, and there's really crisis things going on right now. And the way to fix it is to win elections. Don't know why I keep saying that, but I keep saying that. With the scores of new executive orders, new President Donald Trump, number 47, could do, we could jumpstart this country back real quick, starting in 24, 48 hours. So there's my baby spiel there. Back to you, Val.
This is a national emergency. We have a national crisis on our hands. I think we stopped the clock. I think we make a list of the most important things and we set goals, and saving lives is what we do in this country. But we have to start talking about these numbers a day. These are men and women who served their country and served their country well. And to go out this way on home turf is unacceptable, and it's preventable. And so we can't, there's times in war where we have to stop. And, this is a part of the show that it's time to sober up, and it's time to recognize, what's happening and what we're going to do about it. So,
Val, what you're saying is, ask James about this whenever we find out on his mic here. It looks like he's muted and whatever. That could be Justin Trudeau. You never know. But on the military kid thing, this is really, really tragic. These young guys. But someone like James would appreciate this, is what would validate it, is he did 2 full tours. He did 2 full tours, one in Iraq and one in Afghanistan, 2 different wars. And these kids now, and they're youngsters, they're in their 20s, they need help. They need help. And very often, I'll just say it, and James will have more to say on this, very often, it's not that they're blown off, but maybe the VA is not as quick as they could be to help these kids. So if anything, and if it's digressing, if it's belaboring any point whatsoever, it's we got to watch out for these young kids and get them help while they're young, and because there's again the typical. Can you imagine the PTSD in World War I and World War II? Can you imagine? So we need to get help to these kids. Guys like Captain James are helping. You are helping one way or another. Whether it's here in the United States, because we got our issues, whether it's up in Canada or Alberta. Well, like I said, we need to wake up here, okay? People, we need to wake up, take care of these kids. 22 officially kids a day is too much. I think it's more like 30. So back to you on that, Val.
Okay, so instead of just saying we need to wake up, because I find we have some alt media that'll say, okay, we're going to wake people up. Okay, so those that are sobered up, we need to sit at the table. And this is not, well, we can't do something until, the time is right, the weather is right, the right politician is in there. I think this is a time where we come together and we deal with the crisis at hand. And I'm fresh back from DC. So maybe it's because I know how politics works, but we can start changing that number. We can bring it down. And if it's 1 life a day, that's a saved life. And we start there. And I am just so sick and tired of some of these politicians that will say, oh, well, once I get there, just vote me in and, just give me free reign and then watch and see what I can do. I don't buy that. I don't need, a fake prime minister license like the one Justin Trudeau runs around on to get a hold of other world leaders and talk about what's going on. And in fact, that's how we need to address this. We need to sit down. We need to tackle the biggest issues. That is one of them. That is a top concern. What is going on while they're serving, that they're coming back and they're dying at close to 30 a day? Like, we need to unpack this. I want to know why. I want to know what's going on over there. I want to know what's happening in the VA. I want to walk right through it. And that accountability, checks and balances are key. Mega Matters is where James and Greg get into these national security level conversations. And you and I, moms across America, moms across Canada, moms who love their families, we can come and we can say, what about this idea? And that's that's our community board. It's where we can be live and interactive with politicians that are actually searching for solutions. I refuse to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, and say every politician is corrupted. Every politician is terrible. No, there are ones who want accountability. I just attended the International Crisis Summit, and these are the types of conversations we're talking about. What is the next wave going to look like? What are some of the biggest threats at a security level? What are some of the, bioweapons that are in use now or being planned to be used against us? So we can do this. We don't have to be intimidated or threatened or think we're not good enough or equipped enough. If you care and you love your country and you love your neighborhood and you want to do something about it, there's never been a better time to get involved. So this is Secrets from the Inside, episode 0015. I just want to give a shout out real quick to friends behind the scenes who are on standby, friends of the show, and also a sponsor of this show, my friends at Patriot Switch. Please visit my store, which has only made in America products. We love our vets, we support our vets, and we love American made. It's healthy and it's safe. So patriotswitch.com/Val. Greg and James, I want to give you guys the mic, and I just want to start wrapping the show up and just give you a chance to share what's on your heart.
Boy, so thank you. What a great pre-wrap. That's nice, Val. Seriously. And Patriot Switch, love them. I love them. Miss Deb is going through the product line. We haven't forgotten about you. She'll do an analysis for you. Fun. Before we wrap, here we go. I'd love to throw you a little curveball. We're about an hour and a half in to the hard start. So we're getting there towards almost, hour and 45 minutes with our preview. I'm going to throw a little curveball to you, Miss Val, before we do a final wrap. And I'm going to assume that captain's parachuted out to deal with an emergency or something. So we'll just again begin to wrap here. I'm going to throw a curveball. Boy, oh boy, I'm continuing to be bothered about these kids' suicides. Excuse me, because I got twin boys, right, Val? And been through it. Been 3 boys. You have a son. This really bothers me. We'll have a whole show about selective service, mandatory enlistment into the draft at 18 years old for all boys, right? We had twin selective service. You never seen the federal government come down on kids as when they want them to register for selective service, Val. And I'm saying, well, goodness, why not all girls too at 18? That's just another episode. But the curveball is this. You touched on, again, our chat about, I'm sorry to belabor here, our chat on PTSD suicide kids. Take a minute or two, if you like, talk about Dial 5 up in Saskatchewan. Okay, there's my curveball, Dial 5. I listened to, I will not name any names. Here, I listened to a podcast, rather lengthy podcast, let's just say from back east. And it was about the benefits of the MAID program, Val. And, it bothers me to think about it. But why it was so good, why it was such, honestly, it's liberal propaganda. I get it. The intention of wanting to get old folks out of their pain, that's wonderful, but there's always unintended consequences. And all of a sudden in Saskatchewan, you got kids in their 30s with PTSD. Okay, so I'll leave it at that, but turn it back to you for like a minute or two, and then we'll do a final wrap here before we head out the door, as they say in Alberta.
Okay, so MAID program goes a little bit further than just making headlines recently, but this is medical assistance in dying. So just like every other communist government who wants to hold your hand cradle to grave, this program is no different. I actually first found out about it years ago when there were posters that were plastered all over senior citizens' homes. And these posters were very effective. They were positioned on all the main community walls where elderly people would read, maybe you're a drain on your children. It would be better for everyone if, suggesting the idea, wouldn't it be better for everyone if you just died peacefully at your age. Very, very suggestive, and very harmful for elderly people that their, community eating room is the only place where they converse with their friends daily, and to read messages, subliminal messages like this suggesting death. So these were located in Alberta back in 2016. So this is not new news. This was a program that was being rolled out quite some time ago. But where we're at today with this program is that they've made it so simple, and it's reached the community level where I've had conversations with people in Alberta who've said, a friend of mine, he was a diabetic, and so he utilized the MAID program. What? Stop the bus. You have a friend who's a diabetic who dialed number 5 on the government hotline and was assisted in dying because he's a diabetic. Okay, so this isn't just a target at elderly people. It's not just a target at our military community. This is life in a communist country is awful. Okay, and now, here's the problem. Who offers the solution? It's the same party, same people, and it ends in death. So we need to really be on guard, especially here in America, that are just hearing about it or thinking, oh, well, that could never happen here. This is a real high-risk program, especially when you look at your numbers and statistics here in the United States of upwards of 30 vets are dying. Those who serve in the military come home and they're committing suicide. You start putting out a medical program like this, the power of suggestion, the power of propaganda, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. And the state of people's mental health is key. It truly is. We need to address where people's head spaces are at. And that's how we start cleaning this mess up, and also setting some ground rules. The United States can look to Canada to see how it's been done wrong, and use it as the what we're not going to do and what we're going to learn from it. Back to you, Greg.
Boy, you're so right on the money. Red flags, what a concern this is. And how's this for a segue? Alberta, folks, the answer is Alberta 51, Alberta, USA, because you can build into your Constitution. Build in your Constitution. All the U.S. protections, the First and Second Amendments, starting with that. But you can build in none of this garbage as far as now PTSD. You get PTSD, no MAID program, PTSD till we have a chat with them. Those kind of things. Build them right in your Constitution. So there's the answer right there. Just a kind of a wrap on my end. This has been Secrets from the Inside, episode 0015, with your 3 co-pilots, Greg Meakin, yours truly, Val Olson, our military radio gal, and our hero, Captain James McCormick. There will be more and more. You're going to hear more of Captain James, and maybe even yours truly, on America Matters Media. We were invited, like I say, Val, we were invited to do kind of as many shows as we could fit in, believe it or not. It was supposed to be a once a month kind of by the way show, but until the first show it goes to number 6 and we're invited in. So hopefully we'll do at least a couple a month, maybe even evolve to 1 a week. That's on America Matters Media. Really cool thing about them, Val, you know this. They've always got a Facebook Live program going. Wonderful studio in Reno, Nevada, in the shopping center. Really cool with the glass and stuff. And so America Matters Media is the place to follow there. MAGA Matters is the show with Greg Meakin and Captain James McCormick. And always my website for sure is gregmeakin.com. It's spelled GregMeakin.com. You got my bio there. You got my trending stuff there. And my YouTube channel at Greg Meakin. Stats are just incredible still coming out of that YouTube channel, Val. Still coming. 628,000 or something impressions, which is people who just kind of breeze by, but whatever, that's still 600,000 people. so God love you for a great show. Take as much time as you want to wrap. It's been busting news. We didn't even get to a lot of stuff today, and that's the key to radio, right? Yeah, we don't try and create content. We got to whittle content down and have other shows to follow up. Remember Andre Fournier, our an inventor of caller ID? We did almost 3 hours with him over 2 episodes, Val, because there was so much news busting from him. So more to come. Both again, plug yourself and all this stuff as far as your website, Val, and let's definitely do a sign up. I'll go from here. Probably on post-production YouTube. We might even one of these days see a wonderful extra voiceover by Chris Branham one of these days. You never know. So God bless you. God love you. God bless Cap McCormick and all of his network and everybody out there. Thank you, Eddie Floyd. Thank you, Eddie. And Jay, Brian, all you folks on radio. So that's my sign off. Remember, Val, no matter what, we've been pretty serious today. Not too many laughs because, there's serious stuff going on. But I always say, no matter what age you are, no matter what your political affiliation, race, color, creed, whatever that old expression is, try to do what Val and I do every day. I know Captain does it every day, and that's this. Wake up in kindergarten every day. There's so much to learn and so little time. Because before you know it, you're in first grade. That's my sign off, Val.
Mega Matters. It is a great show. You can find the show if you missed episode 1 on Greg's YouTube channel at Greg Meakin. Greg has a brand new ebook out, Why I Came to America and What I Think Now. $5, you can get that ebook in your hands, and I highly recommend getting it. I've read it. I've read the book 9 times, and I've read the ebook 2 times. There's a reason why. There is a reason why you need to read the book. I love their new show, Mega Matters. Donald Trump's staff listens to that show. Isn't that cool? And you can too. You can reach out to them. Episode 2 is around the corner. I'm Val Olson, thrilled to be a part of Secrets from the Inside. Greg teased a name there. I don't know if you caught it, and Andre Fournier. And he was a guest, one of my first guests on my show. And that was where I learned just some inside info about Elon Musk. Andre Fournier shared some really cool stuff. So you can go on Greg's YouTube channel and just go back and listen to that interview. And it's so funny, Greg, it comes full circle because I reached out to Elon when we were having just some censorship issues this morning during the show. And we just had a drop in. And it's how cool is that? Like the networks that are built, the partnerships, the supporting each other. It just reminds me that the fishbowl really isn't that big, and we shouldn't feel alone or feel overwhelmed in this. It's easy to get discouraged sometimes, but just hang in there, stay positive, regroup, and be a part of what's happening. Rise up. We want you to rise up. We don't want you to stay complacent. We don't want you to stay dependent on someone else to fix your problems. Remember, it all starts on the home front. It starts with you making a decision wherever you are at, starting there, and then from getting it together in yourself, then you can go out and help your family and help your friends and help your neighborhood and help your community and be a part of that type of change. That's how we come out of this information war. That's where we start. We don't become dependent and just slaves to the system. We chart our own path. Always, keep your morals, keep your wits about you. And there are more of us than less of us. I promise you that, folks. I promise you that. Fresh back from DC, and I'm telling you, there is more of us than less of us. So be encouraged. That's episode 15 today of Secrets from the Inside alongside Greg Meakin and Captain James McCormick. Have a wonderful day, everybody.